Utah. This is the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast with your hosts, Joseph DeGolier and Kaleb Schweitz. This is Ultima Final Fantasy. Welcome to another episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate in Final Fantasy Podcasts. I am Joe.
I am I am Kaleb.
We have here today.
Oh, yes. Special guest.
And today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be discussing the differences. This was an episode idea sent in by a listener.
Yeah, Stolas actually sent us this one. Yeah, thank you, man. That's a good idea.
This is about the differences between the Final Fantasy VII that came out in Japan and the international version that we here in the U.S. received.
And as of now, the only thing I know about this is I believe the weapon fights were added for
I think we talked about that on the review.
I think we did, yeah.
But there's actually like a shitload, and livestream.net has this entire page dedicated to
differences. Oh, wow, nice. Again, we get content from livestream.net.
That is right.
Thank you, people, for your years of service in the Final Fantasy VII realm.
I mean, it's good, and that seemed to be like the first major one that had a lot of differences. I mean, 4 was made easier and stuff like that.
Yeah, they've changed stuff.
And there's other international versions. The good thing about the 7 one is that there is this one site that's been dedicated to finding out every little tiny thing about Final Fantasy VII.
Right.
And so it's a really good thing that we can look over today. Also, there's some incredible news, and we'll be doing some episode feedback as well. If you've never listened to the show, you can check us out here on your podcast feeds, iTunes and stuff like that, or you can go to youtube.com/Ultima Final Fantasy. You can check us out at facebook.com/Ultima Final Fantasy. You can see us do the episodes live, and you can see my eyebrows being wiped out on my face in this light, bright, white scheme we have going on here.
Yes. As if you had them
on our live episodes on Twitter. Hey, you know what? When I look in the mirror, I see eyebrows. Yeah. When you're looking at me right now, do I have eyebrows?
Yes. But if
when you're looking in that video, do I have eyebrows?
No.
I
think that is where there was an episode of Nude Clan where you said you're an undateable troll, and I think the troll comes from the brow. I think it's because the eyebrows are invisible, so it looks off.
I have tried putting like makeup on my eyebrows to see like what it would look like if I dyed them.
Just get some clay. Yeah.
It looks bizarre.
Yeah,
I'll go buy a pencil today. I will pencil in my eyebrows today, and you guys can tell me how ridiculous I look.
You should pencil in evil eyebrows though, like go a little off the beaten path and just make it look like you're pissed. It's like, man, you just look edgy today.
It's not the fact that I just have the eyebrows of a Nordic person who's never seen the sun mixed with my Scottish red hair. Like,
that's true.
It's not just that there's like a huge chasm of color difference between. This is natural. This is natural.
It is,
color difference between the two.
Blonde and
it's not just
red.
that. My eyebrows are actually like they're really thin. Like they don't have any like weight to them. I don't even know if they'll like stay with whatever color I put in them.
Yeah.
If I decided that dyeing my eyebrows wasn't the dumbest idea in the world. Because if I dye my eyebrows, my God, people are going to be looking at me and be like, what the fuck happened to you?
Maybe what'll happen is I'll give you like, I'll go find a color and I'll make it like a Nair pen or something like that. And you're just putting it in there and like it falls out before your eyes. You're like, what? Why?
So I get impatient sometimes. I know this has everything to do with Final Fantasy, but I get impatient sometimes, and with the eyebrow trimming, which maybe I shouldn't even do. Maybe I should just let it grow out to a unibrow because no one can see my fucking eyebrows.
Maybe, yeah.
But I get impatient sometimes. I'll use like the razor over the side, and there was this one time I cut off like half my eyebrow, and not a goddamn person noticed.
Wow. You're just there with your quarter brow and fucking no one knows.
I remember I was like, Schweiss, I cut off half my eyebrow, and you're like, well, oh, okay. All right.
I think I do remember that, yeah. And like I could tell when I looked, but like just looking at you, I would have never known. I would have just been like, all right.
God, dude.
Yeah.
My eyebrows are the bane of my existence.
You know, it's funny though, because I used to get picked on as a little kid because mine were really blonde too. Like, you could barely see mine. They were the same color as my skin.
I never got picked on for my eyebrows until now. Like, now it's suddenly becoming a thing where, like, Joe doesn't have any eyebrows.
Yeah, it sucks because the my stash is the same way. It's, like, really, really light colored, so it's, like, irritatingly invisible. Not that it's, like, super thick anyway, but it's even worse when it's the same color as your skin. So, there's that. But, you know, the rest of my hair isn't red, so it doesn't seem as odd, but I don't know.
So...
Anyway,
I have not touched Lightning Returns.
Still, huh?
It is for anybody who listens to Nude Clan, you know what's up.
Yeah, and you know, I know there's a lot of people, not a lot of people. Some of you guys criticize the show occasionally for getting like pushed back because of Nude Clan. Remember that we beat 13-2 in a week's time.
Yeah, let's say that excuse for the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, we beat it really quickly.
You remember when we beat this one really quickly?
Yeah, do you remember
Come on.
Dirge of Cerberus, guys? Do you remember Final Fantasy 1 and Final Fantasy 2? 1 week. Episode 1, FF1. Episode 2, FF2.
Look, because the person who sent in, this is linked to this show.
Yes, Troy.
Beautiful, wonderful Troy Kavanaugh, who... through the kindness of his heart, sent in Final Fantasy 15 to us.
Yes.
To both of us, despite the fact that you're the one who he was
won
going
the
to
contest,
send it to,
right, yeah.
won the contest for the thing. He sent it for me also.
Joe's cry to the public.
I was broke, right? I don't think I had a job or I had just gotten a job or something like that.
Yeah.
And he sent it in to me. The catch being, we had to play Tales of Zestiria.
Which he also sent to us, so awesome, right?
So another game, yeah. Tales of Zestiria for Nude Clan. Tales of Zestiria is a 40-hour game, and I procrastinated for a few weeks.
Right.
And now I'm behind on Tales of Zestiria, and most of my free time has been going to Tales of Zestiria. There have been some, I guess I could be probably about 4 hours ahead of where I am if I had treated my time better with that game this week, but I still wouldn't have been.
You treat games kind of like how I treat books. Like, I don't read 2 books at the same time, ever. I never do that. Unless it's like a series that I've read before. Like, I'm in the middle of the Song of Ice and Fire series. I'm on book 4, which I don't really care for. So I'm like, I'll put this down for a little while. Like, that's different. But I don't ever start a book and then start another book. And that's kind of what it seems like you do for games, which is a good idea. It's not like you're going to fucking mix up the story or anything, but it's get one done, get a project done, and then move to the next project. That's how you get things taken care of. But getting a little screwed on the tails.
It's okay. I think I'm going to quit my job in May.
Yeah?
Yeah, I might have like a month there where I just play video games.
Wow.
And then I'm caught up in a week and I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, that would be funny. I put another hour and a half or so this morning into the game. I am still around where I was before. I'm just kind of wrapping up the second or third day of the story. Trying to kind of get my bearings with the game itself. It's got a very different battle system, and unfortunately, I think me streaming it is kind of affecting it negatively, because I'm looking at the game, and for some reason, like the last few times I've streamed Lightning Returns, it just looks like shit on the screen I'm looking at. It just looks awful. And it might be the standard def, it might be the chords, something might be a little...
I would argue that it's not just standard def. It's the fact that you're going into the thing standard def. Okay, you've already gone down to 480p.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you're watching it on a window that also scales down the image for you, and so that you can stream it. So it's at an even lower quality. Now, you've been doing it for the previous 13 games, so I'm wondering, is there a difference, or you were just playing Tales of Zestiria in beautiful HD, and then have gone down to the Lightning Returns?
I don't know. I think there's a lot more going on in Lightning Returns. Like, there's a lot more characters, and it's like just
visually a lot more shit.
Yeah, there's more happening, so I feel like that's negatively affecting.
More than 13? Because I remember one of the things with 13 is like there's so much shit on the screen.
Yeah, I think there's more. Yeah, there's crowded towns. More. There's towns with a bunch of people in it, and there's like the camera angle is like more zoomed out, and it's just, I don't know, it's fucking with me. It's making it difficult to look at, and like I'm trying to figure out this game that, by the way, is on a time crunch. And I'm trying to figure out how to play it, and like I know I'm missing stuff, and I know I'm missing out on quests, and I feel like I'm just like lost in this world because it's too much for my crappy fucking screen that I've got pulled up for it.
There is a list of Amazon items to give you streaming in HD, and you just haven't done it.
I know.
It's on there, man.
I know. I should probably just buy the HD card, though. I mean, I know it's more expensive.
So you have to have like an HD splitter so you can watch it on your television.
Yeah.
And then do the HD card separately, like it goes through a separate path. I figured all that shit out for you. It's ready, man.
I don't know if I'm ready to take that dive, though. It's a bit of cash.
A new experience.
It is, and it would be nice because then I'd be really...
It is like $90 worth of stuff.
I would be truly experiencing the game. You know, like when I did the late game stuff on 13, and I mentioned this before, I was like, damn, dude, this game looks way good. Because the whole time I was just streaming it on this standard def capture card that we bought. It's great for PS2 games. PS3 games, not so much. And I had forgotten how wonderful 13 actually looked until I threw it back on my TV. And I was like, damn, man, this game is way good looking. I'm like, Jesus, it's just perfect. Same thing with 13.2 and apparently Lightning Returns. But I'll look into that and maybe broaden my horizons for streaming. And honestly, that's part of the reason why I haven't been playing it as much, is because I go into it and it's already a confusing game. Like, it doesn't match 13.2 to me, and I'm not very good at it, apparently. I keep dying on certain fights, and it looks like shit. So I'm just like, push it off, Okay. But I am about 4 hours in, I think, 3 or 4, something like that. Kind of ways ahead.
Boy. Yeah, I haven't touched it still. You said you're 3 or 4 hours in?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not too bad.
No, you're not that far behind.
You should definitely play some Parasite Eve 2 while I'm on Systeria, though.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'll play Lightning Returns. The thing is I want to platinum the game. I want to get the platinums from now on, here on out, for Final Fantasy. Except for maybe 14. I don't know if that's possible. I guess I'm
not in that big of a rush.
Yeah, so I am fine playing it. I know I'm going to have to at least play it through twice to get the plat for Lightning Returns, so you've got some time.
Okay, that's good. All right, we do have some news, Schweiss. Are you ready for that?
Yeah.
News. God, dude.
Yeah.
That song is not getting out of my fucking head either.
Yeah, we earlier today, Joe asked if the Sound of Silence remake was the worst song on the new Disturbed album, and I said no. And I think it's
I didn't ask you if it was the worst song, because we both listened to the album at the same time.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like one of us convinced the other person that the Sound of Silence cover by Disturbed was a terrible bastardization of the original song.
Right, we knew it right away.
We pressed play, and then when he started, we looked at each other with this look of disgust and a mutual understanding that this was the worst thing to ever happen to music.
Yeah.
Now, I know a lot of you people...
including one of our patrons, whose name is Disturbed's Sound of Silence. God damn it.
That's the name of the Patreon?
Yes, that's the name of their fucking Patreon account.
All right. We know that you guys are fans out there, but listen, despite you being wrong, we did have to, we were wondering which one was the worst song on the album. And I said, is it that song, or is it the song where he's like, where it was, I think it was track 5. I remembered it being like track 5.
Something like that.
And him going,
yeah.
And you remember the name of the track, which was The Light, which we listened to before we started recording, which was a mistake because now that awful, awful song, which is worse than the Sound of Silence cover, is stuck in my head.
Yeah, I think it's worse too.
I think I think I called it like happy metal.
What the fuck? Sorry, the loop was on.
It's twice.
It is happy metal. It's like a very cheery song, so it's stuck in my head too.
The darkness and light.
It's Jesus. It's so fucking bad, dude.
I love 10,000 Fists, and I love The Sickness. I've never listened to Believe.
It's not very good.
I thought Indestructible and Asylum were like pretty good knockoff 10,000 Fist albums, so I enjoyed them.
Yeah. I feel you though. It's stuck in my mind as well. Like I keep like thinking the beat, and I'm like, why? It's like a pop song. It won't let you go.
But speaking of letting go, Square Enix, is that a car alarm?
It is.
God damn it. That's what happens when you open the door, Cameron. God fucking damn it. We have to hear car alarms all day. That's the second car alarm in the last hour. Okay. I don't even know if the audience heard the car alarm, but it is distracting as hell.
Yeah.
Speaking of, moving on, you think? Square Enix decided to relocate their data center for Final Fantasy XIV.
Oh, wow.
For North American players. There's a huge article on it that I don't want to read, but that's basically what happened. So there you go. Look at that.
Fancy.
There's also a Final Fantasy XV Chapter 13 update. It is now available. The one that we've been talking about for a while. That would happen. Here are the
5 months later.
Here are the patch notes, and thank you, Shinru, for sending in this news. There's some various bug fixes, which is good. There's an addition of Chapter 13 called Chapter 13 Verse 2, which is an alternate route featuring Gladiolus. Now, this is not clear to me, and I don't know if someone knows this, whether or not you need the Gladiolus expansion in order to do this, or if this is really just in addition to the actual game. And if it is just in addition to the actual game, that sounds really interesting.
Yeah. I bet you it is.
Enhancement of some Arcana spells, Alterna, Holy and Death. Announcement of winning snapshots from the first photo contest.
Nice.
Viewable at Taka's pit stop in Hammerhead. That's interesting. Temporary conclusion of timed quest that will resume later on a later date. Not sure what those are.
Those are the timed events that they released. There's certain like quests and hunts that were.
Gotcha.
So those are like put off for now. It sounds like.
Some episode Gladiolus downloadable content, music tracks.
Jamu confirmed you can do it without DLC.
Oh, okay. Okay, very good. That's cool. Like, makes Chapter 13 even longer.
Yeah. Let's make it really fucking long.
Yeah. I joke. I liked Chapter 13, but I know you didn't the first time you played it.
Yeah.
Additional compatibility with episode Gladiolus stuff. Various gameplay enhancements. More bug fixes. It says twice in this fucking list. Updated saves will not work on former versions of the game, by the way. And then there's a trailer for the update, which I don't think we need to watch.
No.
Okay. Just had that. Okay. What is this? Itadaki Street Dragon Quest in Final Fantasy 30th Anniversary has crossplay. And there's some character screenshots. So if you're in Japan and you want your Final Fantasy characters and your dragon... your Itadaki Street Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy game, go for it, man. Looks interesting. All I'm seeing is screenshots in Japanese here, though, so I don't really want to get into it. Final Fantasy XIV is going to have a Far Edge of Fate soundtrack that will release on June 7th. So, it's got it's composed by Soken and the FF14 sound team. It's a Blu-ray disc, so it must have a lot of shit on it. And there's an official soundtrack site if you want to check that out. Here's something that's interesting. Now, I'm not going to say what the spoiler is for Final Fantasy 15, but one of the updates to Chapter 13 it added a new cutscene, and we can watch it privately at our own homes, but it has to do with the death of a character, and I believe it's in Chapter 13, Verse 2.
Oh, okay.
So if you guys want to go check out what that is, there is something there. If you played 15 already, then go check that out.
Yeah, you know what we're talking about.
Try to be as vague as possible.
People die in the game.
There is a Schweiss, there is a DLC, another DLC coming out. Guess which episode this is?
I'm going to say, I don't know, episode Ignis.
Close.
Prompto.
Episode Prompto is coming out. So
When?
I'm going to send you this link here, and you're going to go ahead and we're going to watch this trailer together. So
right.
Let's do some Episode Prompto teaser trailer.
Ooh, he looks like a Rooski right there.
Yeah, he's got like the ski cap on.
Yeah. We shoot. All right, let me see. All right, so Episode Prompto. Man, I haven't even played Episode Gladiolus, but you know what? Fuck it, let's do it. Our mine are back.
There's clouds.
Okay, it's looking good.
All right, that's good. Some snowy mount.
Oh my God, he is Russian.
So he's in the snow area. It looks like.
Yeah.
So we get some expansion in that area. That's very cool.
Looks like there's a corpse.
He's got a gun.
Naturally.
He's got a gun.
All right, what is this body?
It may not smell good, but it'll keep you warm.
Yeah.
He's looking at a body in the snow. He's pointing the gun at the body in the snow, and then it's like his fat self.
Yeah. It's Plumpto.
Plumpto. And we just had the sound of a gunshot without an actual gunshot. The hell? The Gladiolus one had like a shitload of stuff in it.
Yeah.
This one was like a little teaser thing.
June, huh? Fancy.
Fancy.
I don't know. What do you think about that so far?
I mean, it's intriguing. I think that's the point of the commercial. There's not much to it, though.
Yeah. It's kind of confusing. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on. It's where in 15 would it fit? Is it after? Like, I don't know.
Schweiss, there's another collaboration between Final Fantasy and another gaming series. There's a gaming series in Japan, at least. I don't know if it's over here because I've never heard of it. It's called Blue Reflection, Sword of the Girl Who Dances in Illusions. And apparently they're going to have some Final Fantasy 15 crossover costumes involved in that game. So that's interesting. And then I got... there is a huge article that I did not get into or have time to read that we'll have to do next week that has to do with Hajime Tabata's own reflections on the transformation of Versus 13 into 15, which of course we did an entire episode about without his input.
Yeah.
So I would like to get into that probably another time. But here's the two big pieces of news that I'm kind of like the most excited for. One is the drama, the Japanese television drama that's going to be put on Netflix that has to do with Final Fantasy XIV. I believe we mentioned this on another episode, but we now have a 30-second TV spot for it, which is awesome, because I'll tell you why it's awesome. So I've done some studying of some Japanese for college, and then I've like messed with it past then. I'm like, I don't know if I'll ever go to Japan, so I don't know if this is ever going to be useful. But like, it's kind of interesting to me. When Netflix has an original series in another country, we still get it. Mm-hmm. And we still get their subtitles. So I was able to watch a Japanese show with Japanese subtitles on it because it was an original Netflix show.
Right.
We should be able to get this here if this is a Netflix produced show, which I believe I read. I may be wrong about that, but that's what I read, was that it was Netflix produced. So if it's a Netflix original, we will have it here in the States.
Nice. Sounds like we got some commentary to do at some point.
It does sound like we got some commentary and some review coming up because it is a Final Fantasy show. But we do have a 30-second trailer that we got to get into because I am excited for this.
All right, let's do it. All right, so we got a couple of Japanese.
It's something about his friends.
Yeah. Hello. Daddy of Light?
No, the title may be the worst thing I've ever seen.
Daddy of Light. Oh my God. Daddy. That is.
I'm your daddy of light.
I'll be your daddy of light. That is insane. Yeah, we talked about that a few weeks back where we announced that they were going to do one, but we finally got a little trailer for it. And
it sounded like bullshit before, but now it's like, oh no, this is real.
Yeah, that's strange, man.
So this is what I don't think you've ever watched a J-drama before, Schweiss.
No, I have not.
Let me explain something. Japanese film, high art, wonderful, incredibly good, especially like they're good art films. Japanese television, Schweiss. I'm not talking about anime here. I'm talking about their like drama shows, their live action stuff. Shot in 30 frames per second, which makes it look like a like Children's Hospital. Like it's got that soap opera look to it because they film it that way, which is it makes me want to puke. On top of that, super melodramatic. Just get ready, Schweiss, for the melodrama and like the slapstick comedy. I'm telling you, that's how J-drama is.
How melodramatic can a show about a dad and his son playing Final Fantasy XIV truly be, though?
Schweiss, I've never seen an episode of a J-drama before, and I've tried a few because I was like, I need to study some Japanese. I should try out some of their television shows. There's not a single one that is not way over the top. So it's like, I don't know, you can't get any better than Japanese film. Like there's French film, there's American film, there's Japanese film. Those are like the really high quality. I'm not saying all American or all Japanese or all French film.
Right,
like they're the good films, like the highbrow stuff, really great. Just perfection, right? Akira Kurosawa, let's say that. Perfection in filmmaking. And the television is like a football field away from the same quality of their movies. It is the biggest chasm I've ever seen in visual entertainment ever.
Wow, that sounds great.
So I'm so ready for this over melodramatic Final Fantasy XIV show, which has footage from Final Fantasy games in it. So it's like from this thing that had no subtitles on it that I watched on YouTube. It looks like this guy is into Final Fantasy XIV and his father is getting into it. Is that what it looks like?
Kinda, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is going to be...
Or maybe...
I'm so excited, dude.
Plot twist, his dad's been playing longer than he has, and his dad's pro.
It looked like the live-action South Park episode of the Make Love Not Warcraft.
Yeah. There you go. That is
That's
pretty
what it looks like. I'm ready. I'm so fucking ready to see some J-drama. The biggest piece of news, though, besides that, which there could not be a bigger piece of news than that. Final Fantasy XIV Online is now totally free to play up until level 35. Cameron, get on that shit.
Yeah, free. Final Fantasy XIV. That's awesome. That's,
free to level 35. That's what Warcraft did after a while, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's like 60 for them, but... it is free to a certain extent. And guys, this is the perfect time to give it a try. And if you like it, pound through and catch up to where we're going to be. If you don't, then, well,
level 30 is the original game, though, right?
No, it's level 50, I think.
Oh, is it with level 50? Is it high?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. 30 is what you need your main class to be to do the subclass.
Oh, okay. So you're going through that kind of beginning section.
Yeah.
Got it. That's pretty decent.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It used to only give you 14 days free, and now they're letting you go up to level 35. So, guys, if you haven't played 14, yeah, that's right. Get the hell on that thing.
Yeah,
try it.
Yeah, it's. I know a lot of you guys don't want to do MMOs and whatnot, but it's worth your time. Trust me, especially for free.
Okay, Schweiss, you want to talk about some international differences with the Final Fantasy VII?
Sure, let's do it.
Like an unsung melody, the truth is waiting there for you to find it. It's not a blight but a remedy, a clear reminder of how it began deep inside your memory. Turn away as you struggle to find it. You heard the call as you walked away, a voice that comes from within.
Okay, so this is the email we got from Stalis. Says, so I posted this in the forum for whatever reason it's not showing up, and it did not. I did not see it. If it does show up later, feel free to delete it because it was a double post. No, it was not. So because everyone is bitching about the Final Fantasy 15 DLC / add-ons, I think it would be great to remind everyone how Square handled DLC pre-PS3 era with the international / final mix versions of certain games. I think the fan base isn't aware of how much FF7's original release was missing content. We see it as missing content, at least here in the West. And Japan had to wait close to a year for it to be released as the international version over there. I think that the Final Fantasy VII content should cover a whole episode, but this list of international versions are as follows. So there's Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy X, which, of course, when we did our complete version, Final Fantasy X and X-2 complete, there were differences from the version that we had, and they added stuff back in that was in the original Japanese version.
Right.
Final Fantasy X-2, Final Fantasy XII, of course. So they had the Zodiac version, which was just whole Final Fantasy XII.
Right, yeah.
And then we get our version, and they change things around and make it more open, and then they, in Japan, when I say they get a international version, which is our version, which is crazy. It's crazy that it works that way. So there's one for Final Fantasy XII, and then we get some Kingdom Hearts ones. So there's Kingdom Hearts Final Mix, Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep Final Mix, and Dissidia Universal Tuning. So, and then he said, to make our lives easier, here's a big list of the Final Fantasy VII stuff. So I didn't know about most of this, just as you don't. So I kind of want to go through them. The first one that we have here, the difference between the version that came out in Japan and the one that we got later, and then they got even later with an international version, it has to do with two different FMVs. So in the original one, when Cloud hands over the black materia and the North Crater crumbles, everyone but Cloud escapes on the high wind. And then the Sephiroth theme is still playing. The grounds of the crater crumble into the deep. Tifa on the high wind deck stands by the railing and looks back at the scene. In the new version, the FMV has now been substantially edited and changed. They changed the name of the actual file on the disc. The PC version apparently still has the same name of the file, but that's how detailed this fucking site is, by the way, with their information. And now the sequence now includes, in our version, 5 weapons emerging from the crater.
Right.
Which apparently wasn't in the original.
Yeah, the weapon fights are US. I know for sure, at least Emerald and Ruby are. I don't know about the other ones, but soon I will know. And this is also the cutscene that Tifa gets that mega boob jiggle in, I believe.
Yep, the boob jiggle scene. I don't believe we should call the scene anything else besides that.
Well, everyone knows which one it is, so yeah. That's its title. I don't care what they say on the file of the disc. It should be FMV_boob jiggle, as far as I'm concerned. Okay,
so there's another thing here that has some more information on how we got more information on how Cloud, the story behind Cloud and Zack from the original Japanese version. So they say here that the only way to get a hint of how Cloud came to Midgar and what Zack's ultimate fate was to read the reports in the Shinra mansion. And the player had to deduce themselves what the referred to escapees are, Cloud and Zack. And the pods Cloud and Zack were kept in has fingernail scratches that tell you how the two escaped. And then so when we, in our version here in the West, we got some scenes that fill in that character motivation. And that's the type of stuff I think I might have actually skipped when I first played the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember when we were talking about that? I mean, this has been 2 years now, but when I first played Final Fantasy VII, I never got like the cutscene with like Cloud and Zack, because it's an optional thing. You have to go to a certain town and talk to someone in order to get that cutscene. So there's a lot of stuff like building up to that with Cloud's mind and stuff like that. Apparently that's not in the original version.
Oh, wow.
And they say what the specific scenes are. So let's see. 2 events are shown before the jump to Junin. Tifa chases after Cloud in a black space, which then cuts to a flashback of her finding Cloud at the Sector 7 train station. Tifa's
the sick combination.
Tifa's motivations are explained in depth It was like, that's a good scene, and that apparently wasn't in the original. Ultimately forming his false memories right there. And then after Cloud is returned to the party on disc 2, a flashback can be triggered by entering the Shinra Mansion basement. It was the only hinted one at the Japanese original that is fully shown and explained. It is clarified Zack dressed Cloud in the soldier outfit that Cloud's mercenary title from the game begins stems from Zack's idea of them both to become. That's really weirdly written their live stream. Anyway, so it's the scene where I guess he dresses Cloud up and they get out of there.
Yeah.
Which is a big important scene. So I'm not sure if it cuts all the way to the ending scene where they get shot at. I kind of doubt it. But at least the stuff building up to it that's not in the original version.
Right, yeah.
Could you fill all that stuff in, you think, as a Japanese player?
I don't know, man. That's kind of a stretch. If you play the game enough, maybe, but I probably wouldn't have noticed without those cutscenes. Like, I wouldn't have known exactly what was going on.
I wouldn't have noticed without Advent Children.
Yeah.
Advent Children showing that stuff. And then when I couldn't get a hold of Final Fantasy VII, we're talking about that dark time. The dark time of Final Fantasy VII not being available on every fucking thing in the world.
Right, yeah.
Which I goddamn could have used in high school when I was trying to get a hold of this fucking game. There's a thing in the Advent Children disc that is like a retrospective on Final Fantasy VII. It has all the really important scenes from Final Fantasy VII.
Right, yeah.
That builds up to Advent Children. It does basically the whole arc of the game. And then when I played the game, I was like, there's a whole section in here that I've never played. And of course, it was the Cloud and Zack stuff, which is still hurts. The final screen is different in the two versions. One, you get like a infinite loop star, which I believe we have. And then the other one, the Japanese original just had a black screen that took you back to the menu. They did add the bosses twice. That is true. So I think, what is it, Ruby and Emerald weapon?
Yes, Ruby and Emerald. The Japanese original, apparently only 3 weapons are ever shown to exist, which are Sapphire, Diamond, and Ultima weapon. And the name of the first 2 apparently were never actually given in the game, so they were just kind of... It was just kind of a thing that they named them after the fact, almost. So that's interesting. I really loved doing the weapon fights, so I'm glad they added those super ridiculous boss fights to give you something crazy. So they added those 2 in, and they of course appear in that for a second in that FMV with the boob jiggle FMV, and
the best FMV in the whole game. Yeah.
That's definitely. And it's crazy. That was a good fight. That was something I love. They added.
This is a minor gameplay one. So when you press select in the game, and I always thought this was really odd because it's not in Final Fantasy 8 or 9, which of course I played before I played Final Fantasy 7.
Right.
When you press select, you get a big arrow with a hand on it that like points, hey, this is where Cloud is.
Yeah. They should have done that in 8.
So that was in the original Japanese version, but I guess the red triangles and the green triangles, which of course tell you where on the pre-rendered background where sometimes it's hard to kind of tell where things are.
Right.
It tells you where you can go.
Right. The red is like an exit and the green is like an interactive section of the map. So like a route you can climb up, a place you can jump, something along those lines.
Yeah, that was added in our version. So they gave us super bosses and then they said, you're dumb. So they gave us these arrows on the pre-rendered backgrounds. Way to go. There are some changes to the pre-rendered backgrounds. I always wondered about this. Oh my God. Okay, so in the mine town, when Cloud goes in and there's a big sign that says Gold Saucer on it.
Yeah. North Korea.
That sign was added into our version of the game. And I always wondered, like, why, if this is a Japanese game...
Why is it in English?
Why is that sign in English?
Yeah. Well, there you go.
There you go. They went ahead and changed it for us. And there's a couple other minor things... having to do with the backgrounds. They slightly changed a lot of the pre-rendered backgrounds. I don't really know why.
Yeah.
But they did.
There's a couple spots where they make the path more visible.
They added a big metal bar to the Junin cannon that was or they removed a big metal bar from the Junin canon that wasn't there before.
That's really odd. Yeah, whoever found all of these is like super meticulous. Some of these, like, hey, different. It's like one of those people that their favorite part about a comic strip is like can you find all 11 differences? That's who they got to do these.
Okay, so we got some added stuff in the game. So Yuffie's weapon called Rising Sun, it exists in the game code in the Japanese version, but is an unusable item. You can't get it. In our version, Yuffie can steal it from Diamond Weapon. So they added that. There's apparently a new side quest called Old Man and Calm. The room that was empty in the Japanese original now has an NPC in the form of an old man who wants 3 items before he can go on a journey to pray for the souls of his recently deceased friends. Which I don't believe I ever saw this in the game. Do you recognize that at all?
I recognize him, the Earth Harp, Desert Rose, and Guidebook thing, yeah, so I think I did.
All right, so that's a whole new side quest that wasn't even there.
I don't think I did it, but...
and defeating Ruby Weapon gives you the Desert... So obviously they added that whole thing for the weapons.
Right, yeah.
On top of the weapons, right? Wow. Okay, so the Coral Reactor... the area has its own battle background based on field background stuff. So they changed the background for the in-battle stuff for the reactor area, which is good.
Yeah, I that's one thing I love about the game. It's like a lot of times they have their own custom area. But it's funny, though, because like sometimes it'll pull you back to an area that you totally walked through already, and it's like... This is awkward, but whatever. Okay,
so in the original Japanese version, you can only add materia to people who are in your party.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's I wonder if
the exchange option was added to the new one.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be rough.
These are all just improvements.
Yeah, they did a good job of just adding the right things.
That's
sure.
Right. See, there's a magic summon changes. So... 2 summons, Chocobo and Mog and Typhoon, have no wind element assigned to either their materials or respective summon attacks. They both do the attack Death Blow and Fat Chocobo, and they're non-elemental. And then they were assigned wind for our version for some reason. I don't really understand why.
I don't know. I guess everything else has elements, so why not?
Okay. In the Japanese version, the enemy skill's damage multiplier is as follows, which is number of escapes times the caster's level equals damage.
Wow.
Which I didn't even know. That's really odd.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm reading that right, but that's really odd. And then the version we got, damage multiplier has been simplified to number of escapes equals damage.
Okay. Huh. That makes it, well, let's see. Enemy skill... Number of escapes times the caster's level. Number of escapes. The first one might be better, but honestly, for enemy skill, a lot of those ones are going to be doing early on, so it might be better now. I don't know. I never really ran away from battles in 7, though, so like the escape thing would
not much for me.
Would be kind of null and void for me. I don't know.
So there are a lot of differences between the fights with Sephiroth, it looks like. It includes like the order of his attacks are different. In the Japanese version, I think he cast slow on all party members. He did something called Pale Horse, percentage-based damage that removes most of HP from one party. Oh, I can remember that. From one party member, and can inflict sadness. He does a flare.
That's always fun.
And Supernova, which we have a correction about later on.
We do indeed.
Which is a magical attack on all party members, can inflict confusion and silence. It's 25 seconds long. Yeah, and then he does Death Sentence, which party member receives a countdown to KO'd status. In our version, it goes wall. So he does wall on himself instead of slow on your party members.
He's going to build a wall.
Still does Flare, Pale Horse next. Then he does Shadow Flare, which still does a shitload of damage on one person.
Yeah, but it's only one person, yeah. It sounds like they nerfed him.
No, it's the same. The Flare and Shadow Flare, they're just different attacks. Supernova does something like very specific. It takes up to 1/16 of max.
Yeah, it's basically super low health. Yeah,
and then Heartless Angel reduces all party members' HP to 1. So they got rid of death sentence. One. So we didn't. I don't think we got as bad of a version because death sentence I think is kind of worse.
Yeah, the countdown to KO. It does say party member in the screen though, so like it would be a solo target, it sounds like, but if it was everybody hit once, you'd be fucked. Like if you don't kill them in time, it's just over. So.
Something else that changed in that, their modifiers on like his HP is different in the two versions. Here's something: the Brain Pod, which is a Shinra headquarters enemy, looks totally different in the two versions.
The one he looks like a teapot. The magic with a dude coming out.
The magic pots in the Japanese version don't look anything alike to the U.S. version or the Western version or the international. We should just call it the international version.
Yeah.
You know, most of our audience is from the United States, so I'm just assuming, guys. I'm sorry.
Well, the international version is normally the one we don't get. So, because the international version of 12 is the one with the Zodiac job sphere. It's the international Zodiac job system version of the game.
Okay, now I'm confused.
Yeah. 10s was the international. The one we have now on PS3, that's the international release.
But it wasn't internet. It was theirs.
I think it's... I don't know if Japan... I don't know which one Japan gets. I know
that... how confusing this is?
UK gets or like Europe gets the international one. I think... I don't fucking know. Ours is just the regular version, though.
There's some differences in the... like the snow area. There's some differences in the types of battles you get, where you can get those. I guess were changed around. The encounter rate was lowered. So having compared a dozen random fields, one can spot in the data that the encounter rate was lowered with a few percentages from the Japanese version to the international version. Whether this is true for only a dozen or 100 of the fields is unknown. It says it is possible a separate downloadable document will be created in the future covering all the changes in encounter rate. Encounter rate, you remember the old Final Fantasies like FF2? I think it was it was FF3 that had the sick encounter rate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
3. 3 was bad, and I think 5 was pretty bad too. And then after, there were a bunch of the old school Final Fantasies. That 1 was fucking awful for me. Going into that final dungeon, it was like every step sometimes. 2 was the same way.
No, 2 was the final area
at the end,
in 2. It was like every other step was a final encounter. I believe this. I think they've slowly like lowered the encounter rate on these games throughout the years, which is nice. I guess they got some different mini games. The body temperature game, I guess, is new. Wow, man, Schweiss, there's so many differences in this thing.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's almost like a totally different game. It's nuts. There's
a lot of differences in the submarine game. There's a lot of differences in the snowboarding game, in the clock puzzle of the ancient temple. Wow. Okay, so in the Japanese version for the clock puzzle, the Keeper of Time will initially only allow you to move the arrows in set intervals, which are not clearly spelled out and requires the player's experience to figure out. If the player falls down the hole 3 times, the minigame is made easier. The player can now move the long arrows around freely, but in our version, you can just do it freely, regardless.
Right, yeah.
That would have been frustrating.
It would have been, yeah, that would have been shitty. In the chat, by the way, Jake says international is usually the re-release in Japan that shows up in Europe. So 12s, yes, that works for it.
There's some glitches and bugs. What is this? Magic pots in the Japanese version can be damaged and defeated even without giving them an elixir first.
Oh, wow. That would have been nice.
They will be shouting for elixirs, but either due to a glitch or because the function isn't there at all, elixirs aren't actually necessary. Wow.
That would be so nice in our version. Not that we can't W-item the shit out of elixirs, but still.
The W item glitch was in the original, but it not not quite the same way as it is right now. I guess it made it even a bigger glitch in our version, so it looks like they tried to fix it, and then it made the duplication even more.
So let's see, in the Japanese one, if the first item has been selected and used on a target, but the player then decides to quit the W item selection completely, the picked item will be permanently gone, even though it wasn't technically used. The only way to retrieve the item is for the battle to be won/exited before the W item command is used. The failed... Okay. So that is different. Ours is definitely more broken. That's...
In the Japanese version, there's a glitch where you can get Yuffie on level 1, which is insane.
Yeah, she has 10 HP, according to the screenshot here. That'd be a great thing.
Looks like there's a glitch to get some level 3 limit breaks on Kate Sith.
Do a level 1 run for Yuffie. Just keep her level 1.
Oh, that's almost impossible.
Yeah,
you got to use all those enemy skills and fucking items and shit.
Yeah.
I
don't think you can keep any their XP down either. I don't think there's any item that stops it. So
I remember when I did my 19-hour version of FF7, the basic thing was like poison them. That was one thing that would always that would be one of the processes that you have to do to kill bosses at a really low level. Another one was Trine.
Trine
was boss.
Trine's the only way.
You have to fight this one thing to get the skill Trine, and then the game will be beatable, which is insane to me. Apparently, the sound is different on the limit breaks. The limit break slots of Tifa and Kate Sith, which is I wonder why they did that. Sometimes these changes are odd, though.
It's weird because
it's benign.
Yeah, it's almost like, why didn't you do that in the first place? For some of them, it's like I don't know, maybe it's like a director's cut of the game is what we got. We got all of it, and they went in, and the studio went in, and the big bad studio cut out all the extra sound effects and the cut scenes, and then they when they rebranded it for the Americans, they added all that extra stuff in. They had full artistic range to give us those extra bosses.
So in our version, Barrett tells you when to or how to run. He says press the cancel button to run. And in the original version, he just runs off without saying anything. In the avalanche going into the power plant part at the beginning of the game. Train escape, I guess some sound effects and some of the dialogue is different. There's some Shinra Manor stuff that's been worked around. God, dude.
Yeah.
Shinra Mansion has been worked around, too.
Different extra entrance and exit points for the Chocobo Farm. They really did a lot of revamping for our version of the game. That's crazy.
So this page, you can go to livestream.net to look at it.
Yeah, we'll post a link in the episode description.
So you go to
the
the Final Fantasy VII part of the thing, and then the FF7 version guide, and then the JORG, which I believe means Japanese original version, and then post JORG, which is the international version, as it were. I'm actually kind of floored that they made so many changes.
Yeah, it seems, and a lot of them seem so minimal. I don't really get why. Like, I can understand.
Like, why would you spend money on like redoing one of the backgrounds? Like, oh, let's add the gold saucer sign right here.
Yeah, it's weird. Maybe it was like a direction thing. Like, you weren't really sure how to get to the gold saucer, so they're like, "Hey, you're in the right area. Good job." Because sometimes in 7, if you don't play it for a little while, you can kind of find yourself getting lost and not really knowing what you need to do. And if you remember, oh shit, gold saucer, this run downtown is exactly where I need to be. Maybe it's something like that. I don't know.
I like the idea that they made the W item glitch worse.
Yeah, I know. The W item glitch is like it's fucking beautiful in Final Fantasy VII. It's so awesome.
Elixir.
Yeah. You just get one or two, I guess.
Yeah, you have two.
Just spam the shit out of them. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. Yeah, dude. So maybe Stolas's point is that there have been changes to other Final Fantasies before we even got them over here.
Right.
Back when they didn't do version updates, you know?
Right.
They didn't do version updates on the PS2 or anything previous to that. So whatever game came out was just the game that came out.
Right. So, I mean, I guess you're right. The underlying theme of this episode is that, yes, they make changes. Yes, they change things from version to version, and maybe that makes the 15 changes not that bad. But the difference being, these were version changes. 15's changes are all-encompassing. They're changing the entirety of Chapter 13. They're making it different for everybody, and it matches. Each version, I think, as far as I know, is the same, and the updates will be the same, but it is not what they initially put out. So it's... in a way, it's pretty applicable, but at the same time, it's like, well, maybe not. Maybe not so much.
Well, my thing with 15 is, like, I don't mind them adding stuff, but let's say they took away something to add something else.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But I don't know if they're going to do that.
I don't know. I would be bothered by that because it's so... And it's going to be so crazy. Like, if someone finds our show... for 5 years from now, let's say, and they have fixed the jump button being X, the select being the same button as jump, they're not going to know what the fuck we're talking about. Sure. It's going to seem like this...
Then they'll look on livestream.net, and it'll have every single version different.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have these guys to back us up in that, but it's odd to have a situation like that, but then at the same time, I mean, we played a version of Final Fantasy XI that's vastly different than the original release of Final Fantasy XI.
That is true, and I could not be more grateful.
Yeah, exactly.
For that change.
So, I don't know. I guess it's not that big of a deal. Honestly, as far as if I were to be asked which version of each game I would want, I would probably say the one with the most content, even if it is added in later on, as long as it doesn't screw with the story too much. If it's just bonus dungeons, if it's just added content for Chapter 13 and FF15, if it's the expanded W item glitch and Emerald and Ruby weapon fights, then go for it. I would much rather have that than not have it. You know, have the option to go fight these super bosses rather than not even existing within the game. So I dig it, and it is something interesting to ponder. Like, it's, I don't know, how do you feel about international versions and like different versions of the games?
I mean, something I kind of felt gypped with FF10 was that they had those Anima fights, or the
Dark Aeon fights.
The Dark Aeon fights.
Yeah, the whole time
they had those.
Yeah,
and then our version just didn't.
Yeah, and they were crazy. They were a lot of fun. Like, I basically have to Yojimbo the fuck out of them, but that's okay. Like, there's a few that you can actually fight.
It also kind of added to the mood of the story, though, that you couldn't go back to these areas that you were in.
Yeah, it made sense.
You were a fugitive.
Yeah, you were breaking the rules, the law of the land.
And in the version we got, I didn't think about it because it was just the game. You know,
yeah,
it's just a game, so you can just go back wherever you want. But in the original, I mean, there was some consequence to that part.
Right. Yeah.
The game. So it.
And I liked that. I liked that a lot when we played our PS3 version of Final Fantasy X.
I didn't like it when I didn't level up after 2 hours, and then I walked a certain way, and there were some Mage's sisters getting ready for me that I was
they were all warming up out there.
Yeah, they were ready. They were standing there at the cliffs.
Just chilling.
That was terrible.
Just chilling. Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, I would like the version with the most stuff in it.
Yeah, and there have been other games that we haven't played, the expanded versions. I mean, I know the iOS version of Final Fantasy I and Final Fantasy II, they have extra dungeons and all these extra content areas, and it's not a big deal to not play those, but in retrospect, I kind of wish I would have. Also, the iOS version of 2 sort of fixes the big issues we have with 2, and I was pretty jealous when my buddy Christian was playing that one while I was playing this PS1, like, disaster piece of a level system. I was like, oh, dude, I just can't do anything. I have to beat myself up, and like if I level up too much with my attack, I'll beat the shit out of myself, and I can't have that.
Yeah.
The inns are like,
oh my god,
greedy bastards with their sick rates.
Oh, don't remind me.
They're like, oh, you look like you've got a lot of treasure from those dungeons. How about 10,000 a night?
You look really hurt. I'm gonna charge you extra.
Yeah, to stick me out in the fucking with the animals. I'm out there in the fucking pasture, sleeping under the stars. But
take
hey,
your camel with you.
You
got your wife. She's pregnant. But you didn't impregnate her.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like those are the people you have to sleep near because you're out there with them.
Couldn't stay at the inn, man. You had to go to birth the child in the stable.
Yeah. Thankfully, we got that myrrh, right?
Yeah,
that was some good shit. You know what I mean?
After a couple of years,
smoking up that myrrh, yeah.
And some wise men they brought it by later.
Yeah, of course. It was good. That part was good. But the price was way too much. And it's, man. But I honestly, if I were to play the series again, I would probably play the versions that have the most in them, just for the hell of it. Like, it's extra stuff. Like, you don't have to do it, but if it's there, why not?
Sure.
You can play around. So.
All right, Twice. Well, we do have some questions that we should get to. So, let's do that.
All right.
Just go to the forum, please. All right, so our first question is from Captain Bosch. Captain Bosch von Roxenberg is now on our forum, by the way.
I'm Captain Bosch von Roxenberg of Dalmasca.
He looks a little different. But,
that, of course, was Vaughn.
Yeah, that was Vaughn. Being a not Captain Bosch.
Captain Bosch, yeah.
Would it matter? It is asked.
I don't know.
If Square remade 1 through 6 with modern graphics and changed the gameplay to a more modern standard, would it change how you feel about the games or where they lay in your favorites list? Seeing Final Fantasy VI revamped with solid 3D characters and hiccups, god damn it. Okay. And solid 3D characters and tweaking the gameplay with modern comfort and trophies would shoot the game up in my list a bit. Just curious as to whether you think age matters when it comes to the Final Fantasy series.
Age matters. Sort of. I mean, like you said, there are a lot of modern comforts that we get with the Final Fantasy games nowadays that we didn't before. I mean, save points. At a certain point, they started rejuvenating your health. You have autosave.
Autosave in 15 is beautiful.
It is. You've got save states in some of the early ones, which were nice, but or like quick save. I can't remember what it was in like 2 or something. It was a save state of sorts, and you turn off the console and it's gone. Or 3. No, it was 3 that had that, I believe. But I don't know if it would change my rankings. I like to look at the games for what they were at the time, which, I mean, a revamped version of 6 might be a lot of fun. I mean, I don't know what kind of combat system they would give it. If we're going to truly modernize it based on the series itself, it would have to have an action RPG combat system, and that would be very bizarre for Final Fantasy VI, but I don't think it would be unplayable. But at the same time, I'm not sure what kind of an effect it would have on my personal overall rankings, because I try to look at these games as objectively as humanly possible. On like a personal basis, I want to just say, okay, this is the game. What do I like about it? What do I dislike about it? And I don't necessarily need the game to be re-released with modern graphics and modern comforts. If it was, I would play it, and I would just accept it as it is. I don't know if I would use that to then replace the original Final Fantasy VI in my mind, or if I would just treat it as like an alternate version of it. And
it would depend on how different it is.
Yeah, if it was different enough, it might be its own game, and then I could maybe pit it up against the original. And who knows? No one knows what's going to happen.
I think things should just be left alone. I just have a general sort of philosophy about that. I don't I guess I bitched about remakes on my Facebook the other day, and a lot of people did bring up some good remakes, like Ocean's 11 is a better movie than the original Ocean's 11. But they were never remakes of great films. And I was talking about films. They were never remakes of great films that were good.
Right.
And I would say that 6 is a great game. 7 is a great game. And because they are already great, the chance that they will make a better game for the time that it's in is really low. And so I'm concerned that they're wasting their money and they're wasting their time. And I'm much more interested. I like playing the old games as a history piece. Is that a problem? Like, why does 7 have to be remade? Why can't I just play it as an old game and enjoy it as an old game?
Yeah, I mean, you still can, but it's for the people who want it to be a new game.
Well, Square Enix is making new games, so enjoy the new games that are coming out. Buy those. So I don't like the philosophy of it. I don't think it would change my rankings of it. I think that what would probably happen is that if it was different enough to be a different game, and not like the voice acted 3D version of FF4, which is basically the same thing.
Right.
It has a couple extra scenes, but it's mostly the same.
Right.
If it was that big of a difference, I would kind of count it as just a different version of the same game.
Yeah,
and whatever my preferred version of that game would probably be whatever I ranked it up against.
Right, and I would maybe do a ranking of like remakes of the games at that point.
If you wanted to get that deep into it.
I don't know if I'd pit it against the original because it's probably going to be, better in a lot of different ways. There's a lot of things that make games easier now, that make the Final Fantasy games simpler to play that they didn't have back then.
And I don't think it's fair to judge old stuff against new stuff because they're just different. It's not that one's better. Sometimes they're better technically, but it's not that one's better and one's worse. They're just different because of the time that they came out of. You're looking at a Super NES game. There's a certain charm in Final Fantasy VI. Yeah. Because it's a Super NES game, because it has the little sprites in it, because of the things they couldn't do on the system that made them do certain things with, how big the game is.
Yeah, the art direction and things like that leaned heavily on
I think that's a lot of
system
stuff
requirements.
I think that's a lot of things that can bring you into a game, and it's not just a gameplay and just story. It's also that superficial stuff.
Right.
So, I don't know. I still don't dig it. Even the Popeye thing, it's still great. It's still great.
It is, and I mean, I don't mind them remaking it to an extent. I do agree that I'd rather them just continue the series, even if it were, a sequel of some sorts, a different game. I don't necessarily feel like I need to play FF6 with modern comforts to enjoy FF6. I think it's an amazing game as is, and I mean, I played it 2 years ago now, and it was fucking great. I had zero problems with it. I mean, the version we played is not as great as other versions, but I still would play that game any day. If I just didn't have to do all these other games for these shows, I would probably return to 6 multiple times and see what I can do with the summons, play around in the Coliseum. I would do it again in a heartbeat, and it being an old school RPG wouldn't affect that in the slightest. I would just accept it for what it is and enjoy it.
No, I say that, and I do like remasters because they make it just look better on newer televisions. So that is something I definitely am for. But remakes in general, just keep making new games and re-release the old stuff. And do the update the graphics in a way that we're not looking at a 480p image on a 1080p screen.
Right. And I know that shits on a lot of people's love for the want of a remake, but I don't know. It seems weird to me. It's like, well, we have this thing that we absolutely love, but we want them to do it again with modern graphics. It's like, well, it feels like they maybe don't absolutely love it in a way to me, because they want it to be...
It feels like they love modern games and that they want 7 to be more approachable for them.
Which is weird.
I don't know. I would play 7 as a piece of, or as a thing that came out in 1997 and enjoy it as something that came out in 1997. I mean, I would, when they were colorizing black and white movies... I didn't make the movies any better.
Yeah, it's kind of the same idea, yeah.
It's just dumb. It's just dumb.
Yeah, I totally would rather see the series advance and stop re-churning up stories of the past. I mean, it's just not very original, honestly. It's them rehashing the same thing over and over again. It's them, like with the 7 verse, with the Dirge of Cerberus, with the Crisis Core, with all of that. It's them just recycling stuff, and I don't know if I really like some of it. Dirge, especially, no. Crisis Core.
I like how much you've turned around on that game over the years.
I liked it when it first came out. That was because it was playable, because shooters weren't standardized. But now it's clunky, and I never liked the story. And I fucking hate it. It ruins aspects of 7, and that bothers me. And that's what happens when you fuck around with remakes and prequels and sequels. And the company is a very different company now than it was then. It's a very different company from 1997 to 2005, 2006, when Dirge and those games were coming out, 2007-ish. Some things get overlooked, and it bothers me because they create these scenarios where they fuck up on something, but this is the new story, this is the new canon. Okay, this is canonized because we said so, and it's like only because you fucked up and you didn't want to, you don't want to own it. You're just going to say this is the real version. This is Advent Children Complete is the version of Advent Children. Like, okay, well. All right, well, fine. That's fine, but there's problems with it. There's problems with a lot of stuff, a lot of the prequels and with 7, and I don't know. It's just annoying, and I'm sure we're going to run into that with the remake, and I'm sure we would run into that with FF6 remake, FF9 remake, any of them. There would be changes, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but in some ways, I think it kind of is. It's almost like a betrayal, because the hype we're getting for these games are people that love the games. They're people that will notice these changes, these retcons, these differences. And like, are they going to still love it? Probably. But like, why? Like, you love this piece of media so much, and that you want it remade, but they're going to fucking change it to match whatever else they want going on in the 7 universe. And I'm sure they're going to fix some of the story elements, which might have been due to the crappy translation of 7. Who knows? But I don't know. It almost seems unfair to the fans of the original in some way.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens with this FF7 remake. I promise you, though, you're not going to like it as much as the original, because the original is the original, and that's already in your head. And it's already a great game. For most people, think of it as a great game anyway. Not everybody. I think I've said what I wanted to say about remakes.
Yeah,
I think I've said it all, guys.
We'll play them. I will, at least. I'll play them, and I'll gladly play them.
Yeah, you're gonna play the FF12 remaster, the Zodiac version.
Oh yeah,
but that's not a remake.
It's not.
It's a remaster in the other version of the game.
Which is fine. That's the same game basically.
Way awesome, right?
Yeah,
it's good.
I can ×3 travel when I'm walking around.
But they were like
running.
We redid the whole thing. We made Captain Bosch the main character.
I would fucking spooge. But,
would you? Okay.
I would, because that's how the game was supposed to be initially, but then they forgot that children look up to awesome, badass adults, and then threw in 2 throwaway child characters.
Yeah.
Make 12 great again. Take out Vaughn. Make it about Bosch.
Next week we do have a question about.
I saw that one. Yeah, that's going to be fun.
We'll do that next week. Knox at Night 88 says, "Here are a couple questions I think I could provide that could provide some interesting content for everyone." This is titled "How have you ever?" First question: have you ever had to start over in a Final Fantasy or other RPG due to getting stuck? The answer is yes.
Oh, do tell.
Final Fantasy VIII. I've gotten stuck multiple times in the past when I didn't realize that leveling up hurt you instead of help you. And I wasn't that thorough about the draw system either.
Yeah.
So I got royally fucked.
I would say
Lunatic Pandora and with Adia. Man, it was bad, dude.
Yeah, I would say that.
And I have restarted. I was like, I was playing it wrong, and I restarted it.
Yeah, I would say that
times.
I don't know if you're not supposed to level up in 8. It does increase stuff, but I think if you know how to play the game, if you understand the combat and the junction system, you can level up.
It
will
just be a highly challenging Final Fantasy game.
Yeah, I don't think it gets much more difficult. I think you just need to understand what you need to do, when you need to do it, and you can level up all you want. Now, the problem is when we first played 8, neither of us knew what the fuck we were doing. So we were leveling up like a Final Fantasy, like 7, like all the ones we've played and heard about and seen. And
didn't
all
give
that.
the junction system as much time.
We
as
didn't
it needed.
understand it. Yeah, it's just beyond.
But the game is its easiest when you don't level up.
That's true, because you can still spam Ultima into your attack and you're a god.
Yep.
That breaks it. But I honestly think that you could play it. But you restarted because of that, though.
Yeah.
In Final
I didn't
Fantasy
understand it either.
Okay. I stopped.
It was deep within a forum somewhere. And this show is important because I still think that information is fucking deep. You can't get that information very easily. At least I couldn't when I was playing FF8 in high school. The internet was still very prevalent. It's not like it was forever ago. But for some odd reason, that information, that little piece of information that they level up with you and they get bigger stat boosts than you do.
Yeah.
So the hardest version of Final Fantasy VIII is level 99.
Oh, yeah. I don't doubt it. But I think you could still beat it because you know what you need to do.
You can still beat it. I'm not arguing that. I'm saying that it will be tougher. And you do have to pay a lot more attention to what you're doing.
Yeah, with the junctioning and with the...
And that is part of the difficulty level, is how much your effort you're putting into like your stats and shit like that.
If we were to go back and play 8 right now, it would be a breeze because we know exactly what we need to do.
Yeah, I would not level up, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I would probably I would pay attention in that underwater temple area and not move when the lights flash.
Yeah, there you go.
I leveled up like 24 times down there, and I was like, fuck, dude, this is awful.
Oh, my God.
But I was still able to pretty easily beat the final boss, except it's a little too low health. Like, I think I died like 3 times, and then I beat her. But that Graver attack wrecked my shit. But yeah, I've never had to restart a Final Fantasy, though. I've never been in a situation where that has been the case. FF6, I almost ran into a situation on the floating continent where I thought I was done, because you can't leave. Well, you can. You have to run up and like you can jump off and then leave, I think. If I'm remembering correctly, I might be mistaken there. But you had to go through a big area, and I couldn't. I thought I was going to die there. Like, I couldn't fight the enemies. They were too strong. I feel like I got there a little too early. The nice thing, though, with 8 is, or 6, you could, like, die, and then you can load your game up, and you still had the XP and stuff from it. I think something like that. Something weird along those lines was happening in 6, but I ended up just grinding my way out of it, and I was fine. But I usually go balls to the wall with these things. I do one save file, and that's it. I go fucking nuts. I'm like, I'm not taking up space. This is the game. I made that decision. I'm going to stick with it.
Have you ever had a card malfunction on you? Because I have. It's not a good idea. 2 saves.
I have not, actually. I don't think I've had any corrupted data. I usually...
man, dude, I've had 3 cards that gave me corrupted data once.
Oh, really?
Not once, but over a period of time. There was like, oh, this is the bad card now, and then I had to throw that away, and then it was bad, dude.
Yeah.
Bad.
I have like a big ass, a really huge PS2.
And it's a Sony memory card, right?
Yeah, a giant like 64 gig PS2 memory card, and I just back up all my PS1 stuff on it.
64 sounds a little big.
It's huge. It's big, man.
That sounds too big.
It's 8 memory cards in one.
Maybe.
But that's how I save all of my backup stuff. So not quite, but really close. I've come close to getting screwed in Final Fantasy before.
I think we're going to have a correction on that. I bet it's megabits and not gigs.
Oh, did I say 64 gigs?
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait. It's megabits, yeah. 64 MB, please.
Okay, yeah. I was like, that is too old of a card to be that big.
Yeah, that would be sick.
Couldn't even get a thumb drive 4 years ago that was that big. Now you can get a 1 terabyte hard drive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
He says, for example, when he was in elementary school, I played FF6 and didn't understand the necessity of items. While I was in the Magitech factory, I beat Ifrit and Shiva with very little health left. Stupidly, I chose to save my game, even though I had 0 healing items or tents or sleeping bags. Found myself in this unbeatable loop as I couldn't beat the next boss or leave the Magitech factory. As I type this, it occurs to me that I might not have been able to leave the factory. I'm not sure, but elementary school self couldn't figure it out. He might have been able to leave the factory, I should say. Second question, have you ever unintentionally saved over someone's save file? In particular, have you unintentionally saved over someone's save file when they were near the end of the game?
No, I've always had my own stuff.
I've saved over as a kid. I've saved over some Donkey Kong games from other people. It probably wasn't smart. He says, I haven't done this to anyone, but it happened to me. My brother and I were playing Vandal Hearts 2, a PS1 tactical RPG, concurrently, and I was a few hours ahead of him. Neither of us had beat it before. The game was around 45 hours long, and I was about 40 hours in. 40 hours in. Mistakenly, my brother saved over my file. I raged on him. I threatened to beat him up if he passed where I was in the game. And I literally made him wait until I passed him and beat the game before he could continue. It wasn't my proudest moment, he says.
Yeah, I'm basically the only one that games in my family for the most part, so I didn't have to run into that.
Captain
really.
Bosch says, the first time I played Final Fantasy X, I got stuck in the fight with brother and his machine cannon when you were outside of the Jose Temple. Rage quit for a whole year before I came back. Corey says, FF6 almost got me. I played it with the capability of using save states. There's a fight at the top of the temple or tower where you need to have the ability to re-raise, because after you win the enemy...
Yes.
After you win the enemy, kills your whole party. I stupidly saved right before this fight, and I thought I just ruined the game for me. After doing the fight 20 or 30 times, I got lucky, and one of my guys did jump as I killed the boss.
Oh, no way.
He survived the last hit.
Oh.
I really thought I would have to start. That's awesome. Jesus.
Yeah. Thank God for the jump ability.
Thank God for jump. Yes to the first question. Noted second, says Fruff. I actually played through FF10 all the way until the very end when the game first came out on PS2, and I just couldn't beat it for some reason. I quit because I was pissed, and then never touched the game again until last year when I got it for the PS4 and finally beat it. I almost rage quit that game as well because of the chocobo racing. Broke a TV remote and a controller over that fucking race. I know your pain.
Yeah. It takes a certain kind of man. Twice kind of man.
Stolas says he didn't do the save file thing, but he did have to restart FF7 twice. First time when he got to the North Coral, I had no idea that you had to go down the screen to the gold saucer lift, or even that part existed. He didn't understand it. I instead went to the world map, noticed that the desert and the golden saucer structure, thought you had to use the chocobo to get there, and at that point I sold my chocobo lure materia, so I started over. Then when Yuffie steals your materia, I wasn't paying attention and didn't read the dialogue. I thought I had done something really wrong and had no idea that you had to go north to follow her.
Oh, boy, yeah.
Both instances, mind you. I was 12 or 13 at the time. Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah.
That is sad.
Especially if you leave it for a little while. Like I said, those older games, like Ocarina of Time, when I tried to play that, played it for like 3-4 hours, and then I came back to it a month later, and I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no clue where to go.
So we got to do our new segment on the show that we haven't done in a couple weeks. And this segment's called Feedback. So let me give you a theme song for Feedback. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Feedback. That's it. That's all I got.
All right, that works.
Okay. All right. So our most recent feedback was for the thoughts on the bad Final Fantasy jokes episode. No one commented on our last episode, unfortunately.
I see how it is.
Felicia Nomika says, some of these jokes were actually funny, but most of them were groan-worthy. Which ones were funny, Schweiss?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I think they were all kind of groan-worthy.
The white mage stuff.
Yeah, this could have worked, yeah.
Okay. B, oh my God.
What?
Oh my God. We totally have another one of these somewhere. Okay, the U.S. uses imperial units. This is about the measuring thing.
Okay, it's imperial.
Imperial units.
We call it standard.
I think we called it American, and we didn't know what it was called, so don't give us on that. I think we admitted to it not knowing which one it was called. But we're the only country I know of that uses it. So, anyway. The U.S. uses imperial units, which is a system that can be traced back to the Roman methods of measurement. The units we use now were standardized in 1824 by the British. It's not even our fault. But they've been around in various forms for a long time. The metric system wasn't standardized and adopted until 1875. While it could be said that the metric system was first invented in the 1500s, it wasn't really ever used until after the French Revolution. By that definition, the imperial system is quite a bit older. And I would agree, for most things, base 12 lengths and stuff, and base 8th, 16th volume, like cups and ounces, are easier to use practically. we had a person with a different opinion who gave us a message on our Facebook page that I'm just remembering now, so I'm getting to that. About the same thing. This is totally about Final Fantasy. So it's really what it's about.
I love it when we get trashed on like non-FF stuff. Like, wow, actually.
Okay, all right. So
what have we got?
I would like to say that I don't care, but but I don't mind our measuring system at all. In fact, the idea of having to split a piece of wood, though, to 10.36 centimeters or whatever the fuck you have to do, not into.
Yeah, that'd be a pain.
Yeah, I not into doing that. Like 10.33.
Yeah, it's too much.
3. Look at that. Instead, I could do, what, 4 inches on either? Like, you could have a 12-foot or a 12-inch board, and you can cut that divided by 3.
Yeah, it
you
does
can do
more.
That.
It's easier.
Anyway, okay, so we got a rebuttal here from Robert. He says, and however much this is worthy of your time, I submit the following. I understand if you do not care. Thank you for understanding that I do not care. I respectfully encourage you to reconsider pontificating on the virtues of what you call the American system of units. We call that because we don't have another name for it now. Now we do, but we didn't when we were not looking up things but had to discuss something on the show. Okay, 1, it is not the American system of units, called the imperial system because it's distinctly not American. It goes back to the Great British Empire from the 1825. See, Brits, it's your fault. The metric system is older than the imperial system of units, which I believe you said.
And it is. Nomiko might be right.
Number 2. It is categorically untrue that only scientists use the metric system, which is a generalization that I made. Says, I am a PhD physicist. I work with engineers all the time. We use the metric system frequently. The more the work involves engineering that has complex electronics, we absolutely use the metric system.
Okay, so more fields than we thought.
All right. Saying 3, saying that the metric system is too hard. I didn't say it was too hard. It's just 1 is easier. Not that 1 is too hard. But naturally, I want to use the easier one for measurements. Anyway, to work in a basic craftsmanship is silly. You think that it's hard to divide by 10? I'm quite certain that you can move a decimal point. I'm quite certain a lot of people can't. Maybe not a PhD physicist, but just on the fly, you don't want to bring your calculator out to do some woodwork. Come on, that's my argument. On all home repairs, he uses the metric system. Moreover, do you think that all craftsmen in foreign countries are just way smarter than that they can't handle the metric system? Surely not. People are people. No, I agree with you on that. 4. Did you see this message twice?
No, I don't.
You didn't see this? You didn't see this pop up in the thing?
No.
Okay. You stated that we are a manufacturing company, therefore we are in a few things. Therefore, the American system of units makes sense. The U.S. is mostly service/intellectual property-based economy. Moreover, it is to our detriment that we should use a system of units for our exports that no one else likes. Most importantly, the system of units used in no way enhances industrial production. No one thinks better in one system of units. It is utterly arbitrary. I grew up with inches, feet, and yards, and now I think in terms of centimeters and meters.
That's fair, but
that is a good assessment. I agree with you on that last point.
Yeah, I disagree with we're not an industrial nation. That's kind of what we were in the beginning.
We're sort of based on that.
Yeah, a lot of like getting goods from the land. That's what expansion is. That's what you do. You mine it for its fucking minerals, and you mine it for its resources. So in a way, but that's fair. Current day.
I would say that it is fair. I don't think that it's a big enough deal to switch over.
No.
At all.
No, you imagine the cost associated with that.
Personally, I don't want to have to use a calculator for shit. For only length. For me, it's only length. I don't care about volume or anything like that. I did. There was one thing where, oh my god, this was so I was trying to look up recipes. I was making something a couple years ago, and I actually had to get a thing that weighed stuff because when you have recipes from pretty much anywhere else, it's in grams, so it's in weight instead of like volume, and that was annoying as shit. Like doing the thing, like let's weigh the scale thing so I can get however many grams of sugar to bake this thing. That was annoying as hell. You guys no, I'd rather just get the cup with the standardized measurement in it, and everything's kind of based on that. I don't know, man. I don't know if I dig all that fucking weighing.
Yeah, man, that's an epic tier. Such a small chunk of the conversation that day too. That's funny.
Anyway, no, I don't think it's a big deal, but it is funny how much we've talked about this now.
It is, yeah. It's taken up so much of our time.
Show.
So a little while ago, I told you I wanted to read some of our old comments from our original website, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to do one today. So this comes from Matt Buell.
In replacement of no reviews.
Yeah, in replacement of no reviews, because we got a bunch last week, so we'll give you guys a week off. Or the week before, actually.
Got a lot. So.
Yeah, tons. The comment was, I just wanted to say that I laughed really hard when you guys were kind of ripping on the FF Union and the girl that is on there.
Oh, wow, that was a while ago.
Yeah, also, Suikoden is pronounced Suikoden. I'm sure you'll get shitty emails telling you how wrong you were on the pronunciation, but that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm on your team.
Like this one?
Just thought I'd give you a heads up. Okay. Really enjoying the podcast. I love how you guys are doing your playthroughs of the games, and I appreciate how streamlined you guys are with your discussions. Perfect timing for that. I love the format, and I can tell. Yeah, I can. Oh, you mean like inches and feet? Streamlined like that?
Yeah.
I can tell you guys are genuinely friends. Yeah, and share a lot of love for the series and the fandom that you are a part of. Thank you for the cast. Keep it up. So thank you. That was from November 4th, 2014.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We got a few more of those to go
like
through.
6 months into the show.
Yeah, that's crazy. I totally forgot to read these back in the day, and
they didn't even know about President Trump.
I know.
Look at that. Look at how innocent that comment was.
Yeah, that was.
There was no feeling that we have a President Trump now. They just sent us an email.
Yeah, it's you look at the world through different lenses.
No President Trump. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wait, which is crazy?
Tremendous.
Did we go into the weird alternate universe that had President Trump in it?
Maybe. It's a Stephen King novel. It said
we got to get
Kennedy
out.
doesn't get assassinated, and because of that,
it's more like the fucking 1Q84. You're gonna look up into the sky and there's gonna be like a little paper moon.
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck?
Wait, there's two moons.
I better climb some ladder.
There's gotta be a ladder somewhere that'll take us to the right place. I bet there is at least one listener who knows what we're talking about.
Probably. Also, we did get a new Patreon donor this week. Ashley Patterson has pledged to our cause. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. It goes to good use. We just barely picked up tickets for Distant Worlds, Saturday, June 3rd at Abravanel Hall here in Salt Lake City. Really looking forward to that. And that is because of you guys' generous donations to the show.
And if any of our listeners are going to that, please let us know so we can maybe eat up for lunch that day or something.
Yeah, we've already got seats next to our good friend Troy. So,
Troy's coming. Yeah. Okay, cool. I didn't know that. You see, you're the one always talking to people, and then you tell me things, and I forget.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay,
that's all right. We won't forget when we see him there, so yeah, it'll be pretty clear.
All right, we got a question from us to you. Try say
do we?
That you asked to them.
Oh shit, you're right. We got to get to that.
Your question last week was, should I throw away my honor and play Lightning Returns on easy?
This is a good one.
Gage Zilla says, I don't remember it being very hard. Thug life. That was his reply.
Okay, so that's one for not easy.
Okay, Stola says, you are not a pleb. I believe in you, Schweiss. 2
for not easy.
2 for not easy. Alistair says, take it you're already finding it a bit rough. And if I managed on normal, don't see why you can't, though I got super pissed off at parts, says Alistair.
Okay, so 3.
3, yeah. Jacob says, keep it OG.
4.
4, yeah. Chris says, so long as you get that sweet, sweet plat, brother, then it's all good in the FF hood. Can you get the plat without wanting it on easy?
Yeah, you can.
I would count that for 1 on easy.
Okay.
Shinru says, easy! Then you can have fun when you play it on normal the second time for the platinum. Believe me, it's better because trying to do all the quests the first time on normal is hard to do it on easy, like Square said to do. Easy in Lightning Returns was normal in the other games. This game doesn't have levels you gain stats from and close and quest completion, so you have to beat all the quests, but a bunch are hard on normal for your first playthrough. Okay, so that's 1. That's 2 for easy and 3 for hard, right?
Right, for normal.
Okay. IRAT says, I agree with Shin. I have played Lightning Returns 13.3 and think that your first play should be on easy.
Okay.
Then on the New Game Plus, go normal.
All right.
Okay, we're tied, right?
Yeah.
Silver Shades. Oh my God, we're tied. And the last comment says, "Play it however you want. Game should not be frustrating."
All right. What do you think?
It's a tie.
Yeah.
Look, man, if it's gonna get you the plat easier to do it on easy first and then do it on normal on New Game Plus, I would do it on easy first.
Okay.
Frankly.
Chat says normal. I'll do normal.
Oh my God! All right. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm ready for your frustration.
It's not super hard. There was an optional fight that I could not complete, and I was getting really pissed at it. But that was because the fight ends, and then you have like a second to move out of the way, or else the fight begins again. And then it advances the clock an hour each time, and you have a certain set number of hours you have for the game. And it's like, I didn't even want to get into this fight again, but I spawned, and I was lagging, my brain lagged, and I didn't get out of the way fast enough, and now I have to fight the thing that I can't beat again and die and then lose another hour again. So but
you know what I heard this week, and this has nothing to do with whatever we've been talking about on this episode. I heard that Heaven's Word just released its final, like the final part of the game for Heaven's Word.
Wow.
So what I'm thinking is that Stormblood's not a complete expansion until the next expansion is almost out.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking. So I'm wondering if we should just skip Stormblood and wait for it to be a full game so we can do a full review on it. Instead of when the next expansion that comes out after Stormblood, whatever that is, because apparently Heaven's Word is the official end for Heaven's Word, right? That's what just happened very recently. The official end for Heaven's Word.
Okay.
Should we only review an expansion once it has an official ending?
Shit, I don't know. What does the chat think? We've got a couple of Final Fantasy 14ers on right now with Cabranth and Anthony Walker. So.
It'll be what everybody thinks because it's going to be our question from us to you next time.
Oh, damn.
Should we, before we review Stormblood, should we wait until all of its patches are out? Because that would give us the best full experience. In my opinion, that would give us the best full experience. But if people really want us to review it, I guess we can review it. But it'll just be the review for whatever's out by then.
Right.
So
that is weird. Yeah, that's a good point.
See, I had that concern a couple weeks ago, and I was like, well, the ending one, I guess, didn't actually finish until Heaven's Word was out. So is it the same situation? And we talked about it for like a minute. And now it's like, oh, that's definitely the case.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. That's a great question from us to you guys. Okay. Get on there, get on the site. It'll be under the questions from us to you section of the forums, and give us your thoughts on that. Tell us which way we should sway and why. So.
All right, so that's going to be it for today's episode of Ultimate Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy podcast. You can go to youtube.com/Ultimate Final Fantasies, find us on there. You can go to facebook.com/Ultimate Final Fantasy, join the conversation there. Twitch.tv/Ultimate Final Fantasy, see us record the episodes live. It includes some bonus content as well, so if you want to get down on there and have a couple minutes of bonus talking, or maybe taking a break and drinking some coffee or whatever.
Fucking great stuff on there.
Great, really exciting stuff.
Wonderful.
going on to going on to the Twitch, you can please join us on there or follow us there or whatever you do. Do you like the page? Do you follow it? You follow. Okay. You can support the show on Patreon by going to patreon.com/ultimatefinalfantasy. You can also support the show by going to ultimatefinalfantasy.com, clicking through the Amazon link or the PayPal link and doing that.
Yeah, you guys have been doing awesome with the Amazon.
It's true, you have been.
It's really helpful, and it's so passive, so easy. Non-invasive Ultimate Final Fantasy support right there.
It's tremendous.
Yeah, it's wonderful support.
Wonderful. ultimatefinalfantasy.com is where you find everything. Join the forums there. You can tweet me at Joseph Vigolier.
Me at UFF Podcast.
And check out our other shows, Nude Clan, video game podcast, where we talked about movies the entire episode this week.
Yes.
So if you want to go onto a video game podcast where we talk about movies the whole time,
there you go.
That's a great show for you. Godzilla podcast as well, where they
talk about video games and not movies.
Yeah, that's right. We talk about video games. No, we don't. We talk about movies on the Godzilla podcast, mostly Godzilla movies. And then what's the other show?
The super sexy swinging fan fiction.
Super sexy swinging fan fiction continues.
Oh yes,
on another feed. We'll see you guys next time, I guess.
Yeah. Enjoy the end of Heaven's Word grind.
This has been another production of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast. The show was produced by Joseph Vigolier and Caleb Schweiss, with music and editing by Joseph Vigolier, parodies and clips from their respective authors, of course. You can get all of our episodes as well as our Let's Plays at ultimafinalfantasy.com. You can also contact us on Twitter at UFF Podcast, as well as our contact page on our website. Be sure to subscribe and review our podcast. Your reviews may get read on the show, and look forward to the next episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast.